Good morning, welcome to Planet Mojo. Today I'm going to prune and tie and spray glide in the vineyard. What I need to do, there's not a whole lot I can do with the canopy up here except for thin, where I have, well, I'll show you that as I go. But I definitely need to get rid of suckers on the side and tie up some of the, like that vine right there, that's a baby vine, and it's just all over the place. I need to prune most of the side stuff off and tie the main vine onto the pole. There's a whole bunch of different little stuff that I got to get done, so I'll talk to you about those when I get to them. All right, the very first vine has broken, bent in half. So I got to take this entire top off, and then this will become the new top. And what else do we got going on here? All right, so this one needs to come up and be trained to the wire, and then this one needs to be pulled in a bit, and all these side shoots need to be cut off. Every one of them, right up to the vine. This makes it dramatically easier to spray as well, but what we're doing here is just creating the trunk now that it has enough foliage up above, and get rid of all this lower stuff. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. I'm not real good at aiming the camera. Okay, so now we're down to we'll just get rid of all of it. And I'm not counting on getting fruit from this year, obviously. I'm cutting it all off. It had some nice stuff on it, but the price you gotta pay. Hopefully it's a bit breezy, and I'm hoping my camera isn't picking up all the noise. I have a new, it's called a media mod by GoPro, and that's supposed to stop the wind noise, at least somewhat. All right, I'm gonna have to mess with this, and I'll show you what it looks like afterwards. All right, the first one's done. This one is almost to the end. That'll make it to the end easy this year. I believe both of them will. Now, as these grow out, I'll just keep using, this is disintegrating twist ties. This will disintegrate and fall off after about a year. So this one will get more of this stuff on it until it gets to the end, and then it'll get cut off there. And that's about all I can do with it. That's what came off. Just a ton of fruit. This would have had a bunch of fruit, but it would have been all over the place, and you really have to stick with your training schedule. All right, now some of these are just really dense inside, and I need to kind of find out if they, like this one right here has 1, 2, 3, 4, it has like 5 vines coming off of it. I have to train that down to 3. So what I'll do, I can see how much fruit is on each one, but that's not my primary goal. I want to get rid of like secondary shoots, and anything that's growing upwards will get taken off if there's too many shoots per spur. I'm not going to be able to do a super good job of it. I mean, there's a lot of vines here, but where it's really dense like this, I got to open that up, and I can do it by taking off a few leaves too. So like these older leaves that are bitten on, I will take those off just so I can see in there a bit better and try to untangle some of this crossing stuff. At this stage of a vine's life, moving these shoots too much, they will snap off right where they're connected to the spur. So you got to be very careful. When in doubt, just leave it alone. So I'm going to tackle this mess and then kind of show you what I did afterwards. Alright, I lied. I'm going to show this. Alright, here's my spur. It was a long one because I wanted to include this bottom one right here, which was aiming downwards. It's trying to go sideways now, but it'll go down just fine. Alright, if we travel up, we have one going up, and then another one going down. Where is it? Ah, I guess these are all fine. I thought I had a fourth one on there. And if there was a fourth one on there, I would cut off this one going up. But for now, I'm just going to leave it. I've already untangled this a bit. Some of these are crisscrossing and stuff. And I'm going to take off a couple leaves here and there to let some light in. But it's a lot better just by taking the crisscrossing stuff off. Okay, this one has 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I'm going to take off this top one. And you have to go down the aisle and then come back up the other side, because like this right here, that needs to be pruned off. These are from tertiary buds and are going straight up, and those are just going to get wind damaged. That's the only wind damage I can see here so far, and it was incredibly windy the other day. I don't see anything else, which is amazing. Sometimes I'll come down here and find, 40 or 50 branches like that this time of year. They snap off real easy. Alright, I'm going to keep working my way down, and like I said, this stuff kind of looks diseasey, but I don't think so. Oh yeah, we got some spotting on here. Yeah, get this stuff out of here. I was going to wait several days before I sprayed, but it looks like I'll have to spray tomorrow. I'll spray right after I get everything thinned out. Alright, I will get back to you somewhere down there probably. Alright, our neighbors just went by, so I couldn't film, but didn't have a whole lot to film anyways. There's a damaged branch hanging down, which I'll get when I get to that side, but this one has kind of a bunch of the normal stuff. What I need to do, you can see how this one comes from way over here, comes all the way through, and comes up way over here. What I need to do is gently work it down and get the tendrils off of everything else. Because what it'll do is just grow a big mat off the top, and we don't want that. We want the individual branches like this, where they're loose, not connected to each other like that. Then their weight will bring them down to the wire, and if they don't attach to the wire themselves, I can attach them with this biodegradable wire ties. And then once they're on the wire, every once in a while you come along and cut the bottom. Anything that's below the wire you just trim off. Then air can flow right through the vineyard and keep everything nice and disease free. And then here's another one. This one comes from way over here, and it's running along the side. Once I get the tendrils detached from everything, that one's probably long enough to go down to the wire. It started cracking there, so I'm just going to leave it. They are so fragile at this point. I've only messed up on one so far, but usually I mess up on a whole bunch of them. I'll try to get them disentangled, and one or more will just break. Yeah, you can see another one. So I'm taking these down. This one has 1, 2, 3. which is fine. Some of them I left 3 or 4 buds, and the primary and secondary shoots came out, so they have like 6 shoots, but they can have primary, secondary, and or tertiary shoots, so there can be just a mass of stuff. So they should look more like this, nice and open, and then these will drop down and I'll connect them to the wire at some point. So it's a long job. I'll be working on this all day, probably till sunset. But once this part is done, it's not quite as hard moving forward. Here's one that got caught by the wind. Yeah, that was quite the storm we had a few days ago. But it looks like we got a shoot right on the other side that has 3 fruits on it, so I don't think I'm going to lose anything there. Alright, let me get back at it, and I will do some more filming when I'm further away from the road. We're just going to have a lot of traffic here. Alright, so after I'm done doing all the thinning, I'm going to be spraying tomorrow. So these suckers, there's 3 of them here. What you got to do is prune them under the ground level. Get down there nice and deep and cut them off, and then put the ground kind of back over where you pruned them. That way, this fresh material like this, glyphosate, can possibly get either in the wound or in through any green material. Glyphosate needs green material to get into the plant. So I don't know if it can get through these stems, but it's possible. So, like I said, what I like to do is just bury that stuff and get the grass away from the stem. Then I'll come through here and spray the aisles. Hopefully I won't have to do it much more this year, but I definitely will. What I really want to do is plant grass here and use a robotic mower to cut the entire vineyard. I'm going to contact Husqvarna and see if they would like sponsor that. At least let me try one of their mowers for a year or something. But we just don't have the cash to do it right now. Alright, here is an example of a mess. So you got 2 buds going here, one here, one here, one here, and one here. And then it has another spur right next to it right here. So, and then it's got this shooting off a tertiary and the secondary shooting off, and they're both going straight up. And then another one here going straight up. So I'm going to take all that stuff going straight up off, but I'm actually going to leave, this has 5 sprouts on it. I'm actually going to leave that alone because they're all behaving fairly well. I think I'll, oh yeah, see, that's got a good chunk of fruit right there. So what I'm going to do, I can't tie this up more. Yeah, I'm going to leave this alone and try to get this area thinned out. This would probably be a good candidate for renewal spur. Take this this cordon out next year, but I don't know, maybe not. It's got all the right, it's got the right amount of spurs on it, it looks like. Alright, let me cut some of this stuff out. This is a really vigorous vine, so it has a ton of stuff growing on it. Let me see if I can sort this out and I'll show you what I did. Alright, I have kind of a messed up cordon here. It's got the right spacing. It's got, 6 inches. Well, this one's probably 8. Then this one is just kind of messed up. And that one goes off to the side and the stuff keeps breaking on it. So I've marked this one for replacement. My replacement's way down here. I have that tagged, and then I have the cordon itself tagged. So as this grows, I'm going to tie it right along the wire right here. Hopefully I see it and do it, and the next one's that way too. And I believe there might even be a couple more in this row that either have missing cordons or just really bad ones. I know there's a couple somewhere in the vineyard that only have 2 spurs or possibly 3, and I'll be tagging them as well. So as I look at it, if I see that it needs replacement, I'll leave something further down, like this one. This was the only one on this one. It's even better if you can go from the ground and then train up a whole new trunk. But if you can't, this trunk should do just fine. And then I'll cut it off right here next year when I do my pruning. Yeah, see, a lot of this early work is just finding where this stuff is coming from and gently coaxing it back into its position. Everything wants to go along the wire or straight up, and then it ends up, like I said, forming a mat or something. And then this is what I want to end up with. Just hanging out, not attached to other vines. And then this will go down to the wire pretty quick. Some of these are aiming the wrong direction, but this cordon's going. And there's kind of a cluster right here that I'll look at from the other side, but this cordon's going as well. So it's kind of a matching pair that will be leaving this year. And more damage. Okay, like I said, I'll put this on my head when I'm on the other side, on the next row there, because, well, nobody's out right now, but it's kind of weird talking to yourself in the vineyard. They can't see me, but they can hear me talking, which is kind of weird. All right, let me get back at this. Okay, on this one of the cordons died, quite some time ago. And then I thought this one was dead this last year. So it had 4 or 5 suckers growing up from the ground. What I'm going to do, I have 2 of them strapped right to the trunk. We have it shooting off the side of the trunk. I'm probably going to keep this too. And then when I go to prune this, one of these is going to be tied right to the wire as it goes up, if it gets that far this year. The other one will be tied right to this cordon, and then next year I'll either take it off here or take it off right at the ground and let the other 2 newer ones take over. Yeah, this one's always been problematic, and that happens. This one might be all right. It has a nice long shoot coming out of the ground, which I could replace one of the trunks with. Well, actually, this is a single trunk that splits. So I'm going to tie this one on as well, and then I'll replace one of these cordons, because you want 2 trunks if you can. That way, if you get winter damage like this one, you're not out of luck and have to start over. Almost to the end of the aisle, then working my way back on the other side will go a lot quicker. But it's been maybe 2 hours, a little over 2 hours. So I'm definitely not going to get this done today. Tomorrow is 90-some degrees, but if it's overcast, it won't be too bad. I'll have to get in here and work tomorrow as well. And then I'm hoping to get this sprayed before we have like 2 days of rain, but it'd be nice to spray it after the 2 days of rain, and I may be able to do that because there's really no signs of disease. This is just an early leaf, you know, a lot of times they're like this for some reason. But as the leaves grow out, you can see that these are in really nice shape. No sign of disease or anything, so. But that's the problem. If you wait too long, you can get disease. I don't know. Just stick with me and you'll find out what I do. I'm either going to spray tomorrow without finishing doing the thinning like this, or in 4 days. Yeah, there is a lot to show at the end of row 1. These are probably the worst vines out of the whole vineyard. And I believe it's because there used to be that walnut tree right there. And I believe they got walnut poisoning from the juglone. But at any rate, all the rest of them are fairly nice and consistent. But these, probably the first 6 or 7, have just been a nightmare since the vineyard started. So on this one, we don't have a cordon on this side, and this one is all jacked up. I mean, it's just terrible. It only has a little bit of fruit on it. I'm going to let that go. I have 2 vines coming off the main vine down here, right there, and then 2 coming out of the ground. I'm going to see how they do for a little while. I might just hack that off right at ground level and train the 2 up from the ground. That is probably what I'll do. But before I do that, I would, if I do that, I would cut off the ones that are, oh, that one needs to go. I would cut off the ones right here and just tie those right to the pole until whatever fruit this has is harvested. And then I'll train those 2 out into cordons. Yeah, this one might be okay. The one on the right is new from last year. This one needs replacing, so I'm not sure that's this one. So I'll have to take something right up in here and get a new one there. I mean, it's got 1 spur, and then it's got a branch that was started off the spur that's in bad shape. And yeah, this one was actually, because this had a brand new vine growing, I just let this one go as far as it wanted to. And I think I'm gonna have to do that again. Look at all the fruit on this thing. And then next year cut it off back here and let this one, these new ones, I'm not even sure what I have here, if that's 1 or 2, it looks like 2. I'm gonna have to tie these up and get them amongst this stuff. It's gonna be really dense here, but there's gonna be a ton of fruit here, so in the end it'll all work out. Now I just gotta make some sense of this for this year. Alright, in the end I kept this 9-foot long cordon. Like I said, it'll be cut off down there at some point. But on this one, I could only keep 1 of these because I cut the other one off by accident. So I kind of screwed myself on that one. All right, 1 more vine, and then I gotta quickly go along the other side, get up and get something to eat, and then I gotta at least get 1 more row done today. Okay, all done. It is 8 o'clock, and all I got done was pulling the grass around the stem of each vine. Got all 100 and whatever, 120 vines, and that was all I could do besides the front row of shoot thinning. And I decided to stop on that because every one, it's like this one right here, if I pull this at about this angle or so, they're just snapping off. And then I have to just toss it down and I lose all the grapes. So I think I'm gonna wait maybe a week longer. I'm gonna try to find at about what time in their growth the shoots are no longer so flimsy that they're lignified enough at their base to be bent around. I can't wait too long because, I mean, this is just a mess and it needs to be sorted out. But if I keep going, last year I lost a ton of shoots trying to position it, and I don't want to do that this year. I think I should get a lot more crop than I got last year. So I'm going to wait about a week and try it again and see how that works. And I'm just going to spray it the way it is, even though it's kind of a mess and it's going to take more spray. See, this is what happened. This is from the wind, and this is from the wind. You know, the wind will come and blow it up like that, and it'll just snap because it doesn't have enough lignin. These are broke as well. Yeah, I didn't think there was any damage, but there was a good deal from that windstorm. So it's going to be maybe a week before I get back in here to do the rest of the shoot thinning. It'll be interesting to see what the difference is between row 1 and the other rows. This row seems to have the most wind damage. I don't know if it's because it's an outside row and facing east, or what the deal is on that. But the first row wasn't anywhere near as bad as this. But this row is also very vigorous, so I don't know. The vigorous growth doesn't seem to lignify very fast. So while I was pruning this, and I got to row F right here, I found that I think there's actually 3 plants that are alive down there, and then 2 or 3 that are up here. So there's 5, maybe 6 plants that are alive in row F, which will be nice because I'm going to get these trellises in this summer. I wanted to get these done last year, but the addition and a whole bunch of other stuff came up, so it just wasn't to be. But it shouldn't take too long. So when I do get to this, I'm going to take the first videos of making this row and combine them with the new videos and make a playlist. So even though they're 2 years apart, if people want to make their own vineyard like this, they'll be able to go by that. Alright, so that'll wrap it up for the day. Tomorrow I got to get in here and I'm going to spray glyphosate. That's why these were cleaned off. I got to spray glyphosate in every one of the rows, and I have to spray fungicide on all of the vines. After tomorrow, it's going to rain for a couple days, so I want to get that done right away. I got a little yellow spot on here, but I don't think it's fungus. But they'll react really well to a fungicide spray tomorrow. They'll perk up really nice and get some more systemic in these things. The first spray, they were just so little, they weren't getting a whole lot of that systemic spray in them. And then the second spray, you can still see some of that. That's mancozeb on there. It's got like a sticker on it. That protected it until now. And you can see these are all the older leaves that have the mancozeb on, and there's just a ton of new leaves. So it's going to be quite the spray tomorrow. So if you want to see all that, make sure you subscribe and click on the update icon. If you have any questions or comments, make sure you put them in the comment section below. And if you give the video a like and or share it, it helps the channel out greatly. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.